Hello, everybody. Welcome to 18 Games and Counting, or as the name title suggests down at the bottom there, 18 Games and Lurtech. Because today, as you can see, I'm once again by myself. And that's because James is away today. And what do you know? The game came up as creative. Well, technically the game didn't come up as creative. The game came up as the 18th game was the new Yakuza game, Yakuza 6, which is only available in Japan. And then the 19th game was FIFA 17. And we already played FIFA 16 on the stream, and it didn't really go that well. And I'm not really that interested in paying another $80 for a FIFA game that probably won't be very good, especially with just me. And then 19th was StarCraft 2, which we've already played. And then 20th was Creative. So, Creative is what we ended up with. And so, yeah. Today... CRPL Chaos. Cripple Chaos. Thank you for subscribing on Twitch Prime. So, in the past, we've done Creative a couple times before. Creative is sort of our I guess it's the exception to our never repeating things on 18 Games and Counting, because Creative can be a lot of different things. So, oh yeah, Corporal Chaos. That's probably what that is. I like cripple. Okay. So, in previous creative streams, I did with Heather. I made like a friendship bracelet. Kirayan Kuhn, thank you for subscribing for 15 months. And when thing came up with James, we did sort of a Minecraft creative thing where we like made the moon base. And Psycho Student does subscribe on Twitch Prime. And so, but today I'm by myself, and what I'm interested in, I guess, creatively, is programming stuff. And because programming is a legitimate part of the creative section in Twitch, I thought I would give this a try. So today we're going to be talking about making plugins in XSplit, which is something that's kind of cool about XSplit, which something kind of cool and slightly, I guess, unique. I mean, I guess not. There's probably you can do plugins in other streaming programs, but XSplit's plugin API is particularly good, or at least particularly well developed, which I like. And the plugin XSplit's plugin interface is part of what allows us to do some of the neat things that we do with, say, in like AFK with all the like overlays on the sides, or with when we do like a checkpoint. And if you've seen like the end of checkpoint where I have a thing on my phone where I can push a thing on my phone and switch scenes in XSplit, that's because of XSplit's plugin API. I didn't realize that OBS had a plugin API. I actually looked that up quite recently, and they were like, nope. But maybe they're working on one. That could be quite interesting. So now there are two things that we can talk about when we talk about plugins. So XSplit has, as does OBS and a lot of other streaming software, it has the ability to use what's called a browser source. So you can have a web page essentially embedded in your stream. And so of course that immediately opens up a lot of stuff you can do. You can obviously just have a web page there, but you can have stuff like the notifier there, which is sort of a plugin, but in reality is actually just a web page, and it works just as well as a web page as it does in XSplit. So that's not what I'm That's not what I'm talking about right now. Although those are cool, and you can do a lot of neat things with HTML plugins. What I'm talking about are widgets. Sometimes they're called. What I'm talking about are actual plugins, and the difference being that plugins are actually using the XSplit API, so they're doing things specific to XSplit as opposed to just generally cool HTML things. So they're actually either manipulating what are called sources or items in XSplit. So that a source in XSplit would be like me, the video of me, or the background, or the thing up in the corner, or this thing down in this corner. All these things are sources in XSplit. They're either manipulating those or doing things like when we start the stream, that going online timer. That's an XSplit plugin because it's activated when the stream goes online. That's not something that the streamer has to do by themselves. It will automatically, when XSplit goes online, that's a plugin that I made that detects when the stream goes online and then starts that timer at 3 minutes, counting down. It's, that's just a small thing. So there are various cool plugins you can do with XSplit, and various cool things that you can do using the XSplit, as Laura says there, the XSplit framework, which is in JavaScript, which is handy because that's what I know. And XSplit plugins are actually just like I was saying. Like these little widgets are just web pages, and XSplit plugins are just web pages too. But they're web pages that tie into this special XSplit API, which is a JavaScript API. And I guess various people hate on JavaScript sometimes, but the fact of the matter is JavaScript is nice and ubiquitous. So, and lots of people know it. For instance, I do, because I come from a web development background. My experience is in PHP, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. PHP not used in this context, but HTML, JavaScript, CSS happens to be all the things that you need to make a plugin. So that's cool. And the Seg, thank you for subscribing. So today, stuff like the life and energy counters in the Magic streams, that's all to do with that all uses those are XSplit plugins. Although they're not, I don't actually use a lot of XSplit specific functionality for that. It's mostly just HTML, but there's a few little XSplit aspects on it to make it work better. But for today, so at some point I think we can talk about I'll talk about some of my more sort of in-depth plugins, I guess, the controls and stuff. But realistically, that would take quite a while to talk about, and requires sort of some complicated stuff. And frankly, if once I finished talking about it, it would have changed because it's constantly under development, because I'm always adding new things to it or tweaking things because we're always doing new stuff with AFK. So what I'm going to do today is show you. We're going to make a plugin together, but it's going to be a plugin that will be basically useless, in the sense that it's not going to do anything that you would normally want to do. But it hopefully will illustrate the our purposes, some of the ideas behind making a plugin. So you want to know today, you're probably going to want to at least some familiarity with JavaScript. But I'll try to go through this I'll try to explain things as I'm going, but hopefully not get too bogged down with sort of details. All right, let's. Sorry if I'm missing subs. Obviously, doing this. This might be a little bit more distracting than a normal video game. So I apologize if I miss subs while I'm doing it, but I will try to catch up here. Just 1 second. This seg we did Wild Peaks says JavaScript hype, yes, and Maglazes says teach me the ways of the Paul. I don't know if I can do that, but see how we do. Okay. So let's so part of the problem, or part of the complication with this is, of course, I'm going to be showing you stuff in XSplit, and obviously I'm streaming this with XSplit, and XSplit can't actually capture itself. So I'm going to show it to you on the gaming PC. I have just a copy of XSplit, so I have a sort of a second copy of XSplit that isn't actually streaming that I can show this to you on. So let's switch over to there and we'll see how we do. So the first step is, of course, you got to get your Gengar desktop picture. And unfortunately, I can't help you with that. You just have to go through the Pokemon Haunted House yourself. That's just part of the programming process. Okay, so let me open up here. So I've got here XSplit with some stuff here. So if you don't know, if you haven't used XSplit before, so obviously XSplit is a streaming program. It is a alternative to OBS, and it is it has sort of there's sort of the base version, the free version of it, and then there's sort of a subscription thing that you can subscribe to, which gives you some more capabilities. For one thing, in the non subscribed version, I don't think you can stream it higher than 720. But obviously, our actual stream that you're watching here, we have the professional version of XSplit. But I've just logged in here under a separate account, so it doesn't just to illustrate what you can do without an actual without a XSplit account. So the first thing so you can see here, I just recorded a little video of me giving a thumbs up and being sad in a loop. So on the green screen background. Yay. It's like it's me. Don't want to automatically hide the taskbar. Okay. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to. So the first thing you need is the XSplit framework. So maybe I'll after this stream is done, I'll post everything we do today. I'll post it somewhere, either my blog or set it up on GitHub or something. Bogdansil for 6 months. Thank you for subscribing. So you can see here, xjsframework.github.io is the website you want to go to for that. And that has the two parts of this which you need, which is what's called XJS, which is the XSplit JavaScript framework, which is currently at 1.4.1. And let me actually just quickly. Oh, Wild Peaks, got it before I did. Okay. And then obviously you need XSplit. And then the other very, very important thing on this website is the API reference. Quick Start has some useful information that you should check out on your own when you're doing stuff. But for our purposes, the API reference is what we want here. So this is the thing that tells you what all this does. Now, there are various ways to get going on XSplit. That sort of set up like wireframes for you and stuff. It is not. It's not actually node based. You can use and you can use npm if you want to add it to a node thing, and they has it for a just as like an easy way to install it. And for any of you who know these terms, there's I believe it's called a grunt file or whatever, different things to build sort of a wireframe for you to start with. But for our purposes, all we need to do is download that xjs.js. So that's the XSplit framework there. And then we just need to have an HTML page. Just a regular vanilla HTML page. So it's just text file with .html on it. And I'm gonna, if I edit this with Notepad, so this is my text editor of choice at the moment, which is Notepad++, which is a great program. So you can see what my sort of starting, I guess you could call it sort of boilerplate is here. So I've got a very simple HTML page. I'm right here. I'm including the that XSplit framework, and I'm also including jQuery because I use jQuery all the time because it's awesome. For those of you who don't know, jQuery is a JavaScript library for manipulating stuff about web pages. So for manipulating what's called the DOM, or the document object model. So for adding elements or moving elements and stuff. It's stuff that JavaScript can do, but it's a little bit complicated, and jQuery kind of smooths over some of the complications with it. And you see, this is just a starting point here. We've got our setting up to use the XJS framework here. And then this is an important thing here. We say XJS, we have to make sure that the framework is all loaded and ready before we actually start doing any interesting stuff with it. So, as a first, to start with, let's do something really simple here. Let's go in the body. Let's make a button. I will call it button ID bright. So we're going to make a button that makes one of the. We're going to make a button that when you click it, it is going to make one of the. So you have one of the sources brighter. So one of the things XSplit can do is say I've got my source here. I can say color, and you can affect the brightness. And so this is something that can be done to any source in XSplit. So I can say I want it brighter. I want it darker. Woo, 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 woo. So what we're going to do is do some automation of this functionality. boop, 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 boop. So to do that, we're going to make a button, ID bright. We're going to say make bright. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put, so we have to make sure, so there's two parts that we have to make sure are ready. We've got to make sure the XSplit framework is ready, and we have to make sure that the page is completely loaded before we try to actually manipulate it with stuff. So so we have the this XJS ready function there. And then within that, so we're going to say once XSplit is ready, we also want to make sure that the web page is all loaded and ready. And that's something that we can do in. So this is just like a little blank function courtesy of jQuery, and all it does is it says wait until, this is sort of a shorthand function, but it's wait until everything is loaded, and then and then do whatever you're going to do. So this is just, you just have to do this to make sure that, because the JavaScript, normally JavaScript will try to do stuff as soon as the page, as soon as that is loaded on the page, it won't necessarily have everything on the rest of the page loaded. If you've got like big images or something, it might take a while. So we're going to say, and then we're going to say, bright. So we're going to say dot click. So we're going to say when you click on this bright button. Now, so far this is all HTML stuff. So far this is all just normal HTML. Now we're going to go into actually making XSplit do something. So we're going to say, so we want to get, let's say, the source of my video here. Let's give it a name just so we can easily find it. So we can say, we can call it Paul. So I'm going to give that video a name. It's called Paul. And then, so what we want to do is we want to tell XSplit to find the Paul source, and we're going to, and make it bright. So let's say, I'll just quickly go through here. So in order to do that, let's go into the API reference here, and look for the, so there's all these different, there's the different aspects that you can manipulate. And for our purposes, we want the scene class, and we're going to say, because what we're going to want to do is say, search items by name. So it searches all items for an item that has that substring. So basically what we want to do, this is going to allow us to search through all our items to find the one item that has that name, which is what we want. So we're going to say xjs dot scene dot, double check that. Okay, cool. Dot search items by name, Paul. Now, here is an interesting aspect of this, an interesting aspect of the XSplit API that an interesting aspect of the XSplit API that makes it a little more complicated, and actually makes it more complicated to work with, but it's necessary for because of how it works. Just to give you a quick background, JavaScript is what's called a single-threaded system, which means that it when JavaScript is doing something, it can't do anything else. So it can only do one thing at a time, which normally isn't that big a problem because it's doing, it's most of the things you're doing in it. Sorry, I'm too high here. Okay. Most of the things you're doing in it are very fast. So, if you want to say, like, make a thing red, JavaScript can do that in, 2 milliseconds. And so waiting while that happens is not a big deal. The problem is XSplit obviously is dealing with everything in real time. So unlike a web page, if a web page takes a second or half a second longer to load than it would otherwise, no big deal. But if you're dealing with video, if the video pauses for half a second every time you're trying to access something with the API, obviously that's no good, right? That's going to look dumb. So XSplit uses a system that what are called promises. And this is something that is a relatively new thing in JavaScript, or at least it's relatively new in it's actually, or at least relatively new in sort of common usage. I think it's actually been in the language for a while, but it's something that has taken me quite a while to kind of get my head around myself. So it's and it's sort of the main complication with doing this stuff. So what it means is that, so when I say search items by name and look for Paul, say you've got, you could have 30 scenes, each one with 100 items on it, if for some reason you were insane and had ridiculously huge number of items. And so that searching through 100 different objects might take it a second or half a second or whatever. It might take it a significant, what would be a significant amount of time. And so instead of saying, like, search for these items, okay, now do something with those items. What we have to do is say, search for those items, or send a thing off to search for those items, and then when it comes back, we can continue with the process. So how we do that is we say, search for items by name, Paul, and then we say then. So what we're doing is we're going to say, search for items by name, Paul, then, which is a special function that just says, so when you have done that, so it'll say, okay, search for items by name, Paul. Great. Go off. That's going to go off and do that. It'll continue on with whatever else you have set up. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to say, and then when it comes back from that search, which won't take very long, it'll come back and it'll be like, then, and then we're going to run a function using item, which is going to be the returned item that it finds. And so now we're going to say, now we can say item. Now, the other thing that can be a little bit tricky here, or that could be tricky, is the more observant among you might want to consider the situation that, hey, there could be two things named Paul in the thing. The function is only called for the first time found all of them. Exactly, that's what I'm talking. So there could be more things, more than one thing called Paul. So what do we do about that? So we could iterate through all the items named Paul and do something to all of them. So what that means is this item thing that's returned should actually be items. And it's actually going to be an array of items that will return. Now, that array could be just a one item array. But it's still an array. So what we could do is we could iterate through all those items, and we could say, like, if we want to make everything named Paul brighter, we could say go through all those items and do something to all of them. In this case, we're going to take an easy way, and we're just going to say items at zeros, which is the first item. So we're only going to be manipulating the first item. And then we are going to make it brighter. So how we do that is you can see there is the item color interface. And we can say there's get brightness and set brightness. So we can set the brightness to whatever we want. And in this case, it's a value from 0 to 100. Actually, no, it's from negative 100 to positive 100. You can see the numbers there. So in this case, we want the value to be 100. So we go items at 0, set brightness to 100. And there we go. Now, technically, this is also something that is a promise in the sense that we'll say set brightness to 100, and it'll send off and do that. And so it could come back and not do and not be doing the same. Like it could, depending on if for some reason it took a while to set the brightness up, we could set it up to wait for that. Okay, so we've got our whole thing going on here. Let's see how it works. So what you want to do is, in order to make this work, you've got to go into XSplit. And you see up here under extensions, we can say add a custom extension. And we're going to browse to 18GAC, 18 games and counting. This is just a extension that I made. We can say 18gac.html. Rebellious, you're correct. It's chainable, but it doesn't return a promise. That means that you could do like multiple things to something. But yeah, it's not a problem. So we're going to add this extension. And now in our extensions thing, we have 18GAC. And we're going to open that up. And let's see if this works. Make bright. Boom! Look at that. And obviously you can make another button here. In fact, let's just do that right now. Make dark. Yay. In fact, actually, you know what? Let's do something fancy here. Let's change this from a button to input. And we'll say brightness dot change function and we'll set the brightness. Type equals number, And then we'll set the brightness to this dot val. What's the thing for? Oh, it's just max. Okay, that's easy. So you say max equals 100, min equals negative 100. Fine, we'll add a label. Brightness. There. Yeah, W3 School sucks, but it's often the first thing that comes out. Good point. Step equals 1. Good to have that in there too. Okay. So let's reload that. Oh, wait. How about we make the background? So the default background is this sort of dark gray color, but so we can go in the style. So this is using CSS now. We can say body background color white. Okay. Yay. Brightness. That's not working. Wait. Oh, why aren't you working? So, something that is important is debugging. So, this is good to show you this. If we go under, so first thing, when you're doing this kind of stuff in XSplit, one thing you want to do is go under Tools, Settings, and Advanced, and you can say Enable Developer Mode right here. And what that does is a few different things. For one thing, it allows you to run, it allows you, it has additional logging, unsigned DLLs and stuff. But the important thing is it allows plugin debugging, or deplugging, I guess you could call it. And what that is it allows you to, like, if you notice, like if this was actually a web page, you could do the like the normal Chrome debugger thing, which if you're a web developer you use all the time, the Chrome inspector, like this. But of course we don't actually have this because this is a web page, but it's not in Chrome. But what you can do is have the debugger. The turning on developer mode allows you to have the debugger open in another window, and so you can see I have another extension which is just accessing the local host on port 92222, and that gives you a list of your current things, in this case 18 GAC, and we can see what's happening now. Cannot read property to lowercase of undefined. So it's a jQuery issue. Oh, probably because this .val is because it's inside this whole promise and it's confused. So this is one of the reasons why people aren't huge fans of JavaScript sometimes, is that JavaScript can have issues, or can have confusions with scope, which is basically like when different things apply to at different stages. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say This equals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get the brightness from this input field before I start going into all this stuff, because the problem is once I'm within this larger function here, that I can't access this, which is referring to the thing that changed. So now we can say target brightness is there. I believe this is what you want. I believe this is the problem. Let's just see if that is the issue. Close that. Reload it. Yep, there we go. So brightness 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Much brightness. Darker. It doesn't change when it's spinning like this because of that's just how these fields work. I could change it. I could use, rather than change the change function here, I could use it. I could be connected to a different event if I wanted it to like change dynamically or change really fast as I move these up and down. So we've got this thing here. Obviously, we have now spent a fair amount of effort building something that was already included by just going in here and messing with this slider, right? So currently we haven't actually accomplished anything interesting because we've just replicated functionality that already existed. But it's starting. I hope it's starting to. I'm starting to. I hope this is showing sort of some stuff that you can do in this with this functionality. Okay, so now let's do something different, or let's do something with this function. So we'll just move that down, so we don't care about it at the moment. Let's make it automatically. So what I want to try to do here is make like make it like pulse, right? Make it like pulse, light and dark. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is, for one thing, let's make a button again. And we shall call it Rave. Okay. So, in order to do this, we're going to say, so what we want to do is we want to make it lighter and darker. So we want to have it like scale up the brightness and then scale down the brightness and then scale up the brightness and scale down the brightness over and over and over again. So JavaScript has a thing for that, or a thing to, if you want to do something over and over again, called set interval. So let's say bright int equals and then so this will be the time. I'll just put that there for the moment so we remember. Okay, so every X amount of time we want to make it do something. We want to make it do this basically. Although we don't have to do the search every time because once we have it we have it, right? So what we're going to say is when you click it, do that thing. So search for the item and grab it, and then let's close that off. And then we're going to set the brightness to, well, what do we want to set the brightness to? We want to set the brightness to more than it was before, right? So in order to get what it was before, we can say item at 0 dot get brightness. So that's just another function. And again, this is the promise, just in the same way as the search items thing. So we can say then and then so it's going to return the brightness that it got, which is the number. So we can say get the brightness B, and then we want to set it to. So we could say set it to B plus 10. So that will take it and then increase it. Oh yeah, you're right. That should be items. Thank you. So we're going to increase it by 10. So that'll make it bright. Now, obviously, if you're, if you're looking at this, you can see that that's going to go all the way up to 100. And once it gets past 100, it's going to start giving me errors because it's too high. Right. So what we want to do is when it gets up to 100, we want to start going back down. Now there's a couple different ways of doing this sort of oscillating thing, and I'm just trying to think what the best way of doing it is. I think the best way. So we want it to go from 0 to 100 and then back to 0, right? So I actually like the idea. So it's either. So yeah, the way I've been doing it, the way I have done it in the past is basically just have a Boolean, yeah, as Wildpeak says, just a Boolean direction variable. Now, but I'm wondering. I don't know if there's there's probably a smarter way of doing it. X%. 100. Yeah. So. I mean, I guess rather than adding adding all the way up, and then down to, we could actually just be setting the brightness rather than, like, we don't even need to get the current brightness. We could just have it go up and down. That might be the easiest thing to do, actually. Rather than getting the current brightness and then turning it up, let's just set it to, we don't actually care what the current brightness is. We just want to take, the brightness and set it to so let's actually make a variable outside the scope here. So we can say variable brightness equals 0. Say, so we want to set the brightness to in fact, let's just say target brightness to match that thing. No, wait, that'll confuse things. Let's not do that. Set brightness to brightness modular 100. So we're going to set it to brightness 100, and if it's over 100, the it's going to be set to the remainder of brightness divided by 100, right? The modular, and then we can say, and also brightness plus 10. I think this will work. So it's going to say, it's going to go all the way up to, no, then it's going to, this way it's going to go up and then drop and then up and then drop and then up and then drop, which is not actually what we want. This is where math actually starts becoming relevant again. Yeah. Let's just do this to show what it looks like. So I'm just going to quickly do this. So, and then we're going to have it change every. So we're going to set that, and let's put that to 100. So do this. So let's just see what this looks like. What this should do is ramp all the way up to 100 and then drop to 0, and then up to 100, drop to 0, up, jump to 0. Let's see what happens. Rave. Did it once. That wasn't what we wanted at all. What happened there? I said, rave. The worst rave ever. Okay, why did it do that? Click, search for my names, and then... Oh, right. Duh. I'm a dumb. Brightness equals brightness plus 10. Okay. Do-ba-do-ba-do. Rave! Yeah, look at that. Ooch, 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 ooch. Okay, maybe not so. Here, let's make it more exciting. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, there we go. It's looking pretty sweet. Can you affect different color channels individually? You cannot. But what we can do, like this is a pretty sweet rave we got going on here. But you know what we could do? By the same, in the same token, we could do mess with the hue. Now the hue, you can see the hue right here, so we go like this. So the hue goes from 180 to negative 180. That's weird. So let me just think here. So we got, let's make this a little bit less, or a little slower. So if we say push the brave button, we're also going to want to hue. We're going to say set hue, which, by the way, you can see in the thing here, we'd say set brightness, set contrast, get and set hue. All right, so now what do we want to do here? So we want to say from negative 180 to 80. Now, there's got to be a good way of doing this. Math, ABS. All right. I'm going to take Mangled Pixel's idea here. Right, that makes sense. Of course. Minus 180. Math is fun. Hue. Okay. Are we ready? Are we ready? Rave! Oh yeah. In fact, let's make these like on different. There. Now they're on different schedules, so they'll move differently. If we want to be really crazy, rather than doing all this, and if we want to be really, of course we want to be really crazy, we could always do so rather than like making the hue go up and down, we could just have math.random, if I can remember. Doop-a-doo. That gives, yeah. Hey, look, there's already a little function written here. Haha! We'll just use that. All right. Yeah, MDN much better than W3 schools or whatever. Well, let's see what happens. Prepare for the rave. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Duke. Check out how much GPU usage this is doing. I mean, it is changing it every 25 milliseconds, which is actually quite fast. I mean, yeah, we're basically doing a light switch rave here. We could do brightness 200. Do it like this. So it goes from light to black up. Or even more randomness. Or we can make this, so you can mess around with this all you want, right? Yeah. Yeah, so if I could do the math here. So theoretically, this is changing. Okay, so this is changing every 50 milliseconds. This is changing every 100 milliseconds. So say even if these were the same number, and then this is going up to 100, right? So theoretically, you could do the math here and work it out, to time it to like a certain beats per minute, right? Just trying to think what the easiest way of doing that would be. But so theoretically, you could even be like a real thing. So yeah, what we have to, what's the easiest way to do this so that it actually goes, rather than it actually goes up and down? $60 BPM is 1,000. So 120 is 500 milliseconds, and then this. So how would we do this to make it go up and down? Something to do with a sine wave or something. Anyway. How about, hey, actually, here's something fun we could do. So rather than doing Yeah, sine functions are available in JavaScript. I just don't know how they work very well. Actually, so here's something we could do. So right now we're doing yeah, you do have to the set interval function does only accept milliseconds, but of course you just multiply it by 1,000. So it's relatively easy to set up. Sine theta times 100 should work. Theta being an increasing numeric value. So we could do math.sine brightness times 100, like that. Let's see if that does anything. Woohoo! I could probably slow down a bit. So if we go light to dark, let's try 250. Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, actually, I like it. Let's leave it at 50, but make this not 10. Let's make this say 3. 5, sure. All right. So, something else we could do that could be fun with our little plugin we got going on here. How about we do... so right now we're doing search for item by name Paul to do the thing, which is all well and good. But... let's say xjs.scene dot get active It's true. Epilepsy is a real thing. I'll slow it down a bit. I'm hoping that it's a kind of a small thing on the screen. Hopefully it won't be too much of an issue. So get active scene, and then again, then function scene. And then we're going to go We're going to go get items. So we're going to say scene.get items. So we're going to get all the items in this scene. And then now we can go items dot for each. So we're going to say for each item now, do I want a different timer for each one? No, we should probably do it the more sane, performant way of doing this is actually doing setting it in here. Let's do it this way. So we're going to set the interval, because otherwise we'd like be setting a whole tons of intervals. Which would be a generally bad idea. And we'll do this one too. Okie doke. So theoretically, we're going to take everything and make it all go silly. And also, thank you for subscribing, Shirts _ Wild Peaks, there's actually a reason why. I'm not that experienced a JavaScript programmer, as may be obvious. The reason why I don't use arrow functions the reason why we use why I'm not using arrow functions is because I guess I could use them in this circumstance. I got out of the habit of using them because they don't work on for some reason, like they don't work on current iOS devices. I think don't actually work with them. The arrow functions are a JavaScript 5 for JavaScript 6 thing. That it's easier. Yeah, they're more clean. But I got out of the habit of using them because they don't work on current iOS stuff, which is kind of a pain in the ass. All right, I'm just going to slow this down a little bit so it doesn't cause seizures. Yeah, I mean, there's Webpack stuff, but... All right. Let's see if this works. I'm excited. Not what I expected. That's why. Right. Speed this up a little bit here. Ooh. I think I may have broken XSplit by trying to make it do too many things. Hello? I wish to stop this. Can't stop the beat. Can't stop the beat. Bye. Go away, XSplit. Alright. Let's try that again. It's not burning like the whole CPU or anything, but it is taking a large amount of GPU power. Let's just go ahead and end task there. Yeah, maybe we should let's just let's see. Okay. Put in an emergency stop. Yeah, how about we do that? So we could say you'd say like if brightness is over, say 1,000. Brightness is over 500. Let's put in a quick. This will stop it, probably. F presentations. Good times. Good times. Asterix Mike says, Paul, taking a bite out of creativity. Is that good? I feel like then that's sort of making it so there's not creativity. Doesn't sound good at all. All right. I think we're... Let's make this a little shorter. Or make this a little faster. Say 250. Okay. Let's try this again. Interesting. Hey, and it stopped. Yay. Let's switch this back so it's going to go up and down on hue. Hue, 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 hue. Let's set this back to 50. But just make this nice and slow. Let's make this smooth. All right. That's not super smooth. Interesting. It makes it so I can't close that window while it's active. That seems bad. It's small up in the corner there. See, this is why I didn't cover. This is why I didn't make it huge. Wait. Time parameters in the for each, but not in the... Yeah, it's this here, right? This should be making it slower to go up and down. Oh, that's what's happening. Thank you. I messed up my brackets. That's what I want to do, right? Yes. That's why it's going all wonky. Okay. Still too fast, though. Let's say 200. Let's just relax a little. So why isn't it just going up and down slowly? Isn't that what it should be doing? Like, I want it to be like 50 means it'll be slow, means it'll be doing it quickly, but I want the number to change slowly, which I thought was what this would be doing. Oh, god damn it. That should be item 2. Okay. That's a thing that has to change. This should still be... I feel like this is not changing slow enough. I wonder why. This is where my math knowledge starts to fail me. All right. Hey, there we go. So relaxing. Wow. Let's make it, I don't like it going dark like that. There we go. This is the chillest rave ever. Hey everybody, we're just chilling. Aw yeah. So I mean the cool thing would be this text is cool. Should be, if we give it a color, right now it's white so it's not showing up stuff, but if we give it a color, yeah, there we go. Now it's changing color too. Now the text is even cooler. I know. Remember that the rainbow text? That isn't even a special effect like this. That's just an HTML thing. But so the thing that could be kind of fun is if you had, I wonder if there's an easy way to do this where we have where we have the different parts of the view moving in different speeds. Just trying to think, or moving at different in different ways. Here, let's just remember. Which is the order of the operations? Current value index, okay. So if we do set the brightness at the ABS, how about we do like sign brightness plus I. So this should make them all move differently, I think. Yeah. Woo. So anyway, this is something cool that this is cool stuff that you can do with XSplit. This is obviously a mostly silly thing, although, you know, it's kind of fun. And obviously now getting the actual numbers correct is always the tough part, but let's speed this up a little bit here. So I'm going to speed up the brightness change, but not the color change. There we go. This is known as the text is cool rave. So there we go. So there's all sorts of interesting stuff that you can do on this. It stopped because of the auto stopper thing. We can change saturation and we can change other stuff. You know, we can, any of these values we can change, including the chroma key stuff. You can change the keys, change the chroma keying. Yeah, here, how about instead of the auto shut off here, why don't we just put a we'll just put a quick No memory. Clear interval. Wow. Clear interval. Right int. Clear interval. Hue int. Okay. So we go rave. Oh no! We can't cease the rave. It doesn't work. The rave cannot be ceased. Why didn't that work? Clear interval, bright int, clear interval, hue int. Oh, because those aren't set. Yeah, we need to hoist those. Hoist! Way hey it up she. Okay. Rave. Cease. Rave. Cease. Rave cease. Rave cease. Boom, 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 ba-do-do-dum, 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 ba-do-do-dum. Alrighty. So yeah, there we go. We can rave and we can cease the rave. Although, you know, I don't know why you'd want to do that. Rave. Cease. Rave. Cease. And then of course you could have clear interval, and then also like reset the colors. Sure, let's just quickly do that. We're going to say for each, we're going to set the brightness to 0 and set the hue to 0. So now we go rave. What are you talking about? There wasn't a rave going on here. What? No. Rave! Is there a rave happening? I thought there was a rave happening around here somewhere, but oh no, I guess not. Oh well. Weird. I keep thinking that there's a rave happening, but clearly there isn't. I looked and there wasn't anything going on. Yeah, so there we go. That is some stuff. I'm just trying to think what else I can show you. Or what else we could add to our Rave Maker. I mean, obviously we could manipulate other aspects of this. So we can change the saturation. We can change the transparency. Ghost Rave! The contrast. Yeah, we can move the text around. You can see. Let's actually just take a quick look. You can see in framework here, you've got all the different things that you can manipulate about stuff. So the layout interface would be the set position. Ooh, actually, I like the rotation. So this would be wrong direction rotation. Although that could be fun too. Y? No, we want Z rotation. Although that made it go small because it's has to. You know what? Let's do some Y rotation. Let's add some Y rotation to our rave. Should we make this? Sure, let's make this a separate. Why not all dimensions? It's actually not a bad idea. Rotate. Doop, 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 doop. So we want to set. Right. Well, let's set rotate Y to start with here. So we want. Wait. So that goes from 180 to negative 180. You don't need math abs. Let's see what happens if we do this. Let's set rotate Y and clear interval rotate int. Okay. Woohoo! What are we talking about? There was nothing going on. What? No. A rave? A spinning rave? No. That doesn't seem like something that would be happening. Let's try that a little slower. Oop. Yeah, there we go. Spinning rave. In this case, actually, the star wipes that start and stop the rave. Probably not. Well, I don't know. Yes, yes. I mean, I guess the answer is yes. We could do that, but I don't think we're going to right now, at least. So, of course, we could make this rotate all the dimensions. Because why not? Woohoo! Rotate all the dimensions. Okay, we're done now. I feel like that needs to be a little faster, but not quite as fast as it was before. I like the way they're all kind of operating independently because of the because I've got this. I'm using the number, the index of the thing as part of the equation, which means that they're all getting slightly different values, which makes it even cooler. What else fun can we do? So, I was saying, so this is, it's kind of neat. So these are, like, the functions that I'm doing here are largely, like, a lot of the stuff I'm doing here is largely JavaScript, right? It's just pure vanilla JavaScript. But then we get, there's sort of these extra kind of hook functions that are connected to the, that are connected to the XSplit software itself, which is and set up by the XJS framework. Let's see, something else. Something else that I can. Let me just take a quick look here. Doop-a-doop-a-boo. Change the text. Could probably do that. If we go down here, we can see there's HTML items, but there's also oh, is it just an HTML item? Image item, media item, HTML item. Hearn the Hunter, thank you for subscribing for 11 months. Hearn the Hunter. How would one change the text in there? I don't actually know how to change the text in a regular text field like this. I think it is considered to be an HTML block for the purposes of this thing. Now, there are... Can do scripts, which seems like a way complicated way of doing that. How wouldst one do that? XSplit does have a JavaScript debugger. You can see here. In fact, actually, let's go. So if we say, let's do a little debugging here. We can say we can use that that search items by name. So we can say xjs.scene.search items by name text. Text is cool. Then function items. Do a little oh. Didn't find anything. Let's give it an easier name to find. Cool. There we go. Oh, the C from cool was lowercase. That's why I didn't find it. Okay. So the HTML item here. So you can see all the different info about it here. Type is 8. Which, if we go and look under types... nope, that's not what we want. I thought there was a... Okay, I don't know what type 8 is. So it tells you what scene it's on, its name, its scene name, which is like its custom name, all this kind of stuff. There's lots of information about it. I believe it is an HTML item, but the problem is you can't actually, like, I know if I can actually directly effect the content. I can access all the properties of the HTML items, you know, like the CSS and transparency and size and right clicking and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if I can actually access the content of it. Intriguing. Like, I'm pretty sure it's an HTML. The text is an HTML item, but I don't know if I can actually access the content of it, which is a shame. And I can't. It's not in here to debug, so I think we will have to That is an interesting one, though. I may investigate that in the future. I mean, usually what I would do for something like this is rather than using a built-in the built-in text thing, I would use my own. Like, I would just make a little. You can just have that as like another plugin, right? So actually, that's something good to talk about. That's actually something good to talk about. Is that there are actually two types of plugins for XSplit. There's what are called source plugins, and there are extensions. So extensions are what we've just made here. So you notice how it kind of sits. It's got a separate window here that kind of sits outside. It sits outside the window, and you know, if I change to a different scene, it's still here. And if you recall, in here we said get active scene, right? So it's going to do what it's going to do to whatever scene happens to be active currently, right? But there are also what are called source plugins, which are things that are actually on the scene. So an example of a source plugin might be, so source plugins are often just regular web pages. So, for instance, if you remember when we did Checkpoint, or actually a good example of a source. Well, no, I can't. A good example of a source plugin would be these notifiers, like the notifier up in the corner, right? The notifier up there or over here. Haha, our source plugins. Or the death counters that we used to have, or the various things like that. Those will be source plugins. And those can be, and those are those are actually written exactly the same way as these kind of extensions, except they have, obviously, so you could have them be just pure HTML, so you could just have it just like any other web page that just is rendered without a background, or you could have it doing XSplit specific stuff. For instance, you could have a source plugin that, you know, makes a rave for itself. It raves by itself. It doesn't actually, and so the trick with source plugins though is that so source plugins and extensions have different I guess sandboxes that they go into. They have different areas that they can access. So a source plugin can't because the extensions live sort of outside. They live outside the game, outside the window here. They can access things that are on other scenes, right? And they can do stuff like get all the items on a scene and things like that. Whereas source plugins only know about the scene that they are currently on, generally. The other thing that that does occasionally come up, a rave that starts whenever it says a specific word. It's like, oh, you said the magic word. Yeah, sophisticated speech recognition system that's in play all the time just for that. I don't know why. There's something weird going on here. Why is just this using 100% of a GTX 970 CPU? This may be related to why we've been having some issues with XSplit recently. Also, why is the clock speed 137 megahertz? That is a very, very low clock speed. Raving for subs actually totally would be possible. That when the sub notifier activates, a rave begins. Yeah, I guess maybe it switched into low power mode. It's interesting. I don't know how that works. Rave for cheers. I mean, I feel like, yeah, we could definitely have a thing that raved whenever a new sub came in. That is a functionality that could exist. I'm pretty sure that would be a terrible, terrible idea here. Actually, I'm just gonna watch let's just watch this. Going faster than it was going before. I wonder why that is. I guess I might have changed some values. So it's weird that it didn't increase any. Cease to rave. I didn't think I changed any of the numbers. Maybe I did. Just make rave a chat command. Alright. Well, clearly before we go here, there's one thing that I do need to do, which is move this over so that I have it on the actual stream computer, you know, in case it comes up. So let's just throw that into the Dropbox. I like going Reddit posing sub-raves. There are people here who get violently sick on their keyboard. Yeah, there's definitely, I don't think raving whenever there's a sub is going to be a thing that happens. But Everybody ready? This might be a little extreme. Rather than on the small screen, this is going to be a larger screen. This is going to happen on a bigger screen now. Everybody ready? Oh no! Too much raving. I should have left the emergency shutoff in there. I figured the cease the rave button would be enough. Clearly it is not. This is how we end. All right. Yeah, clearly the rave button requires a little bit more work. At the moment, it is a crashing XSplit button. Too much rave. It's not even using that much CPU power. I don't quite understand why it's crashing. Why it's causing such problems. But clearly it is not good. All right. Well, I guess this I hope you can still hear me. I guess this was 18 games and counting. And I will go offline now. Be back. All right. I'm gonna go offline now, and we'll see what happens. LRMTG is up next in just 45 minutes or so. We'll end a little early, I guess. Bye!